Yeah, I'm an American who moved abroad 21 years ago.
Mm.
My first country that I moved to was Belize. Lived there for over 12 years, became a real estate investor, selling real estate and then becoming an investor myself. And then due to some of my wife's health issues, we moved to France. We've been in France about 10 years. So we bounced back and forth between the US to see family, Belize, where my work is, and the French Riviera, where I'm currently living.
Let's go back to where you were before we met. What were you doing? What was your health and fitness situation back
Yeah,
there?
so so I think I reached out to you around January-ish.
Hmm.
And at the time I was about to turn 53 or 54. I'm 54 now. And throughout my entire adult life, I've always tried to take decent care of my health.
Hmm.
I don't eat terrible, never have eaten terrible. And always try to get some type of workout in each week, whether it be at the gym, walking 10, 15,000 steps, doing some kettlebell work. But I realized that I had taken my health and fitness journey as far as I could on my own.
Hmm.
And throughout the years, I've gotten coaches that have helped tremendously. And, I learn a little bit from each one, but I never engaged with one long enough to see just how far I could push my own, not just physical appearance, but my own mental, physical, emotional health. I wanted to see really what would happen if I gave it a long enough time period to really
Mm.
see some changes. And that's what I did. So that's when I reached out to you. One of the reasons I reached out because I've been following your content for years. Your videos were so real and honest. By now, I've been following the industry now for long enough where I realize, who's just in it for the money, who's just trying to sell your program. And they always have a hack or hacks that they want
Uh-huh.
to sell you. But
Tips.
all of your videos was like, no, it's your nutrition, it's your consistency, and then one of them really resonated with me. He said, look, it's not always going to be fun. You're not always going to feel like doing it, but you just got to push through those times. I go, okay, here's a guy I respect because he's not filling me full of fluff. He's telling me there's going to be times it's going to be hard. And I know that's true because I've gone through those times. So I just felt this like, okay, if anyone can help me bust through my plateau, it would be you.
The unsexy truth.
Yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah,
You got it.
it's hard to put that out there because it doesn't attract a lot of people. See, that's the thing. That's how you know that you're within that 1%. You are responding to it. A lot of people are not. They're running towards, sexy, hacky, quick, shortcut, whatever. But
You
that's
got
the
it.
reality. So thanks for sharing that. Going back to when you were working with these other coaches or trying other programs, what specifically were you doing? Any particular diets, elimination diet, time restrictive diet, any types of training, intensity, cardio, stuff like that?
Yeah, nothing in particular. I'm very intuitive. So,
Hmm.
for example, I did keto for a while, and
Okay.
I found that keto was too restrictive with my lifestyle, and I enjoyed the mental clarity I got out of it. I really felt clear mentally, but I'm very social, and social meals and dinners out and evenings with friends is very important to me. And I wasn't willing to limit myself to a keto diet or any other type of diet that was so restrictive. It just was not going to work for me.
Mm.
Um, I've been following more or less the 80-20 principle for the past, 5 to 10 years, where 80% of my time when I'm eating and drinking, I'm don't want to say I'm eating nutritious food, but I'm eating more clean for me. I'm eating what
Mhm.
makes me feel good. And then 20% of the time, I'm going to allow myself the French fries and cheeseburgers, and I'm not even going to worry about it. So, but I try to keep that ratio. I try to keep that ratio rather than having it too skewed the other direction.
So within these years of trial and error, what do you feel like was getting in the way or not helping you move faster with your progress?
It's a good
Was there?
question.
Mm.
And I think you helped me tremendously with this. And I don't know how we came to this conclusion, but throughout the year, I have major blocks of time where I'm not in my own home. So I don't have access to my own refrigerator, my own kitchen, my own go-to foods that my local grocery stores or restaurants would have. So, for example, we're going to spend 2 weeks coming up in Sardinia on a
Right.
yacht. I'm going to go back to Belize for my work. We got my parents to visit in November. So each time I would kind of like be out of my own home, I would view that almost as time off because I'm going to
Mm.
enjoy myself more than before. And then when I got back home, okay, now everything's under my control. Let's lose the weight that I've gained. Let's start hitting the gym more regularly. And when I started working with you, you said, okay, what does your next 5, 6 months look like? When are you going to be home? When are you going to be away? And it's for the first time in my life that I said, okay, I'm going to be away, wherever away might be, for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
When I get to this place, for whatever reason, it's vacation, it's I'm teaching something. What's going to be my diet? What am I in control of? What can I eat consistently? That takes some planning.
Right.
So actually, a lot of times I brung the tub of protein powder. I researched what groceries were available, and rather than viewing it as a restriction for those 2 or 3 weeks, I actually
Hmm.
felt better. So there was still an element of, okay, we're going to do some social activities. I'm going to allow myself to do the lunches with the business guys or whatever. But even then, I'm like, okay, when I go to lunch, I'm going to have the steak and veggies. I don't need the burger and
Hmm.
fries. And I felt fantastic and I didn't feel deprived. So that was one of the biggest breakthroughs I had with you is viewing my 12-month year instead of these chunks of on off, more
Right.
like more like the ups and downs got a lot less highs and lows, put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, because like looking back, what probably happened is you would invest time, energy into something, like you would be super strict for a couple of weeks or months. But then what happens is we take that time off where we're like dropping everything and going back to those previous habits that got us potentially out of shape. And then we just take 3 step backs. And then during that time of dedication is like you take 2 step forwards, but then 2 step forward, 3 steps back, and it just goes like that. And it feels tiring. We start losing hope. We start losing
Yeah,
that motivation because like, yeah, I'm making some progress, but it doesn't last. So
exactly.
that's a good
Yeah.
point that you're making. And do you feel like you've been since you started the program, you feel like you've been keeping that momentum, taking 2 steps forward, maybe 1 step back rather than
Yeah,
three?
there's definitely, and I'm recognizing too something about myself, and seasons have something to do with it. The
Uh-huh.
winter season seems to be much easier for me to go on a restrictive diet as far
Mm,
as maybe a fat loss phase,
right.
whereas summertime, maybe it's the longer days, maybe I'm more active, and it's definitely more social. And I am allowing myself a step back right now. I'm not going crazy, but I'm
Right.
allowing a little step or two back, but at the same time, on your advice, my volume in the gym is up
Training.
tremendously.
Okay.
So, I'm not saying I'm trying to out work out a bad diet, but I
Right.
am really pushing the weights pretty
Training
hard,
them.
and I'm seeing some recomp, so it feels good. Yeah,
That's great. That
yeah,
like the physical activity, the training, when that reflects the amount of calories that we're consuming, we're spot on.
yeah.
What do you feel like that motivated you to make a change back when you reached out? What was it that you're not 100% happy about?
Um, Turning, once I kicked over 50,
Uh-huh.
I'm a big follower of, like, a Huberman and a Dr. Peter Attia and some of the longevity space. And right now I do have tremendous health. I'm on no prescriptions, no medications, no diabetes, um, no heart defects. No cancer. I'm in very good health, but
Hmm.
I know moving forward, a lot of that continued health is going to be based on my nutrition, on my workouts, and body composition. I notice that eh, when I'm at a few pounds heavier fat wise, that I feel sluggish. I feel off. I don't feel as motivated to get things done. When I'm a little bit trimmer, I have way more confidence in all areas of life. So for me, it was waking up, feeling my best, not just physically, but then be able to go off and do everything I want to do in life, feeling better.
You mentioned that you do travel a lot. You do have a pretty busy lifestyle. How did you manage? How did you manage to prioritize training and nutrition during all those times?
Yeah, so yeah, that's a good question. The gym is always something that I give previous thought to. So for example,
Hmm.
um I'm going to on a couple vacations here coming up, and I will purposely book a hotel or an Airbnb very close to a really good gym. I don't really like hotel gyms. I don't find them adequate, but I will, pay for a daily pass or a weekly pass. So wherever I go in the world, doesn't matter where, I know I'm going to hit the gym, and I purposely set up my schedule where there is going to be time for the gym. That's not a non-negotiable. And it almost has very little to do with aesthetics and everything to do with I need it for the mental health. If I
Mm,
hit the gym each day, at least 4 times a week or so, I know the week's going to go better. So that was never a problem. What was more of a problem is food planning, food prep,
right.
food planning, especially if you're in hotels or places
Right.
where you're just trying to grab something on the go. Yeah, that's been the biggest one of the biggest challenges. Yeah.
And how did you figure that part out?
Um, yeah, so I think I was talking with you again, your advice, and you were like, okay, well, is there a grocery store nearby when you get hungry, you can pick up some turkey slices? And I'm like, of course there is.
Uh-huh.
It's so simple. Like, so now I'm loading up on these packages of turkey slices. I got like 10 of them in the fridge right now.
Nice.
And it was like, so now, if I'm going to be away, or if I'm going to hop on a flight, I got to hop on a flight in a couple of days. Um, a couple packages of turkey slices are going in the backpack. And the old me would be like, whatever they serve on the plane, I'm going to eat
Uh-huh.
because I'm paying for it anyway,
Right.
right? So dinner rolls and butter and rice, and I'll feel like crap, or I can just pull out my turkey slices, and yeah, I still might have a couple bites of what they serve, but little things like that. What else can I say about protein and Greek yogurt? I bring a
Mm.
tub of protein out wherever I go, throw out my luggage, and then when I get to my Airbnb, I'll buy 10 Greek yogurts, and then every morning that's my breakfast. Scoop away, maybe some raspberries,
Mm.
250 calories with like 40 grams of protein, and I can't get any better breakfast than that. So for me,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's definitely some good strategy and good advice because I would say a lot of people are very confused when it comes to this. And well, now you're basically the living example of that entrepreneur that travels and, has sometimes quite a hectic schedule. Would you say that's accurate?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
there are a lot of guys that we work with and they say things like, I'm too busy. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to eat healthy. What would you say? Because you are doing it. No, you have been doing it. You have been getting results. What would you say to that individual who brings up these excuses and allows these excuses to keep them from making progress?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things on that, especially because I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And if you can afford it, I know not everyone can, um, if you can afford it, try to see where you can throw a little bit of money at a problem and almost solve that problem. So, for example, I get meals delivered to my house once a week. I know
Mm,
there's several places in the states that do this now. You can have meals delivered with your exact macros if you're going for a protein or keto or whatever. If that works for you, have your meals delivered. Have your meals prepared.
mm,
Find someone in your area. Ask around at your gym who cooks. And then have them deliver your food every Sunday night for the next week, something like that. If you can throw a little bit of money at the problem, or if you're an entrepreneur and you can offload just some stuff like housekeeping, if you can have a housekeeper come in your house twice a week for an hour each time, that saves you from cleaning for 3 or 4 hours, use that time for the gym. So, and that's something I learned from Tim Ferriss in the 4 Hour Work Week is that
yeah.
even if you're super busy, where can you throw a little bit of money out there? And at first it might seem ridiculous, like, Like, I wasn't raised like that,
Uh-huh.
my parents didn't, my parents cooked, we cooked our own food, we washed our own dishes, we, everything. Um, but now I'm seeing, okay, if I can throw some money at a problem and, that problem goes away and it really helps. So that's one thing I would recommend. Another thing I recommend is if you say you really don't have time, you may not have time right now, but I have a huge set of kettlebells sitting here in my living room. And through the pandemic, when I couldn't go to the gym for a year and a half, I have four kettlebells, and I got in the best shape of my life just doing, basically full body workouts with these kettlebells. And I don't have to go to the gym. I don't have the transport there and back.
Mhm.
So I think there's ways around this whole I don't have time thing if you really kind of got creative.
That's a mindset right there, baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, that's because it does happen a lot. And when you say throw some money, I would probably personally, for me to sound better, I would even say invest some money or
Yeah.
buy your time back.
That's it.
Because at
Yeah.
the end of the day, we work so hard, like we put in all the hours, invest in relationships, do the freaking work to make more money, but then, how do we get our time back?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
like what's the point of making a lot of money if we don't leverage it for our good? Let's talk about progress that you have made so far. Would you mind talking about it?
No, 100%. I'm an open book.
So how much weight have you lost? What was the part of the transformation that stood out to you the most?
Okay, so let me just give you a quick 30-second going back to 2019. 2019, I was able to take part in a really cool creative project that lasted a year.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, I was completely spent, in a good way, but mentally, physically, my physical health suffered. I'm a short guy, I'm a little guy, and my body weight had went up to 148, which I know for a lot of you guys are thinking that's nothing. Well, for me, it is on my size of frame, 148, a lot of fat. And so I started to trim down. And as of January 2024, I was coming in at around 136. So I was 136, but still, body fat was around 22%, I'm guessing. I have a scale, I have photos, so I'm guessing it was around 22% body fat at 136. When I started to engage with you, we had a really good program you set me up on. And at the end of May, when I completed that phase of my program, I was right around 124-ish,
Yeah.
let's say 123 and a half, 124-ish. Not really sure what my true body fat was because I'm just using a withing scale. I'm not using any decks or anything. Um, I was at my leanest, but I was also at my what do you call it? What's the word? When your muscles are just drained, right? You
Uh-huh.
just I felt lean body fat wise, but I also felt lean muscular wise. Like
I
I
see.
was getting into that losing muscle phase. Since then, I've been, with your help, going on a little bit more of a maintenance slash, muscle building phase. So right now I'm weighing in at about 129, and I'm
Nice.
feeling full. I'm feeling good.
Nice.
I've gained a little fat, I think, but I've definitely put on some muscle as well. So I'm
Good.
feeling really good. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I love hearing that. Did you feel the same way you did in the past at the end of the fat loss? Was it the same like fatigue, level of lack of focus, stuff like that? Did you
Yeah,
experience
absolutely. I mean, in
everybody?
when I'm in a cut phase, I know everyone thinks that there's hacks around that. For me, I've never found a hack where if I'm in a cut phase for more than 3 or 4 weeks, I go through the low energy, I go through the hunger, I go through the mental um, hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
Um, find it very difficult to be in a calorie deficit, period. And I've never found a way out of that, but that's just the reality of my physical makeup. And so what I do, I try to do the high volume foods, the
Yes.
veggie, the oatmeals, the fiber, high protein. You got me on a really good protein schedule. Um, Even with that, that's why I needed you because left to my own, I would not have been able to push that hard or that long or get those results without engaging with you. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
everybody goes through those
yeah.
those feelings, and it's part of the fat loss. That's why I don't really recommend cutting too often. When we go into a cut, we just commit to it and then come out of it, reverse, and then enjoy life. And the main focus is to not regain a ton of fat back because that's painful to lose it. So, what do you feel like? What do you feel like you learned most about yourself, about nutrition, training, mindset during the
So
program?
I think I talked with you about this a couple weeks ago, but I think the tools that are in my toolkit now
Mm,
that I think about life differently. So when I'm going through life now, I have these tools that I can pull out that I can use in different situations where those tools prevent me from just, eating like rubbish and feeling like rubbish and gaining body fat and getting out of shape again. So I have these tools in place and these kind of like safeguards, right? So I'm not going to go like off the rails and, gain a bunch of fat again and then have to cut again. So I have these tools in place. It's a mindset shift. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not always fun because some weeks I just want to like, okay, forget this. I
right.
mean, I don't want to track, and I know there are ways to live without tracking, but for me, I need to track, um, because I that's something I need to keep myself accountable. So, but yeah, and just being mindful. Where am I going to be? Who am I going to be with? If I'm going to have a extremely social weekend where I know I'm going to eat more and drink more than I would, then the previous days account for that, and the days
Mm,
after account for that. So
yes.
I have this mindset more than just, hey, here's a month where it's just going to be like a free reign, a free for all. So I'm not doing that anymore.
Any new things you learn about training?
Yeah, I did quite a bit of training. Volume. I've
Uh-huh.
never I've never listed lifted with so much volume per week per body part.
Okay.
And also tempo and muscle, focus on the muscle,
Yes.
so really like at the gym this morning, I was in there for 45 minutes and just the tempo of the reps, the focus
Mhm.
on how the muscle
The
felt.
stimulus.
I've been lifting my entire life, and you finally helped me to get in the gym and focus on how the muscle feels. And I've never been able to do that. I've always looked at the weight of the bar because I'm a small guy. I've always like thought people were looking at me. People aren't looking at me. People could care less,
Yeah.
what pin the stack is in. So now I'm just like, I don't care if it's 10 pounds. If that's what I need to use on exercise to get the muscle feel, I'll use 10 pounds. I'll use 15 pounds, and I don't
Mhm.
care anymore. And that really helped me out.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of that, right? I go to this, we moved to a new location and I'm like walking distance from the gym. But this gym that I'm going to has this lovely hack squat that I really enjoy that allows you to go into that depth of squat. And it's a challenging exercise. And all these big boys put like 45-pound plates and they just do the exercise half range of motion pretty much. And I'm showing up and I put 125 on each and everybody's like staring at me like, how is this guy so big-ish? And how, what? Like they couldn't make sense of it.
Hmm.
But right now, my quads, this exercise was yesterday. Right now, my quads are like throbbing sore. So it's a good thing. It's new stimulus because I haven't had access to that machine. But again, like I didn't have to break my knees or hips. I just went super, super, I mean, kind of light for me, but that allowed me to go through that full range of motion, to hold that stretch at the bottom, to do things that actually stimulate and are effective for muscle hypertrophy. So that's a good point there. What do you feel like are some new things, if there's anything new that you can do in your life right now, as a result of the progress that you've made?
New things I could do, or just more like
The
realization.
upgrades, the life upgrades that you got from it.
Uh, Number one is much more confidence,
Mm,
much more confidence in how I want to show up to in every area of life. How do I want to just show up, period.
mm,
Whether it's be in my business, support of my congregation, support of my friends, support of my family, how do I just want to show up and walk in the room, when I'm called upon to do something. And I have that confidence now. So it's helped tremendously. Yeah.
beautiful. Now, going back to our friend who's an entrepreneur who, wants to get in shape, let their health kind of stagnate or go backwards because they had to take care of the business and, grow their company, be with their family. They realized that they had to make a change. They started making changes. They started working with coaches, nutritionists. They tried things, yet they yo-yoed
Mm,
many times. And in the
yeah.
process, they have lost hope. They have lost motivation, obviously, and they feel stuck. What would you say to that person?
I would say they need a long-term accountability coach, trainer, someone that can hold them accountable long term rather than just a month or two till they get to that event that they're trying to diet down for, and then they're going to yo-yo. I know for me that was a big one. So, and really view it as more of a lifestyle. And also, here's a big one for me because at times I just wanted someone to hear how difficult it was. Yeah, I
Hmm.
just wanted to jump on a Zoom call with you and say, bro, man, I'm going to go to McDonald's tonight. And I just wanted someone to say, yeah, you know what, dude, go for it. Just have a couple Big Macs, down the fry, do whatever you want because this is life without being like, no, no, go for the egg whites. You can do this, stick with it. It's like someone who realizes that life is meant to be enjoyed and you're going to have days and weeks where you just don't want to do the push anymore, but who
Yeah.
helps you to go, you know what, that's great, but that's not going to be the way you're going to live your life either, because then you're going to be fat and miserable and out of shape. So someone to recognize, like I'll give an example. I don't know if you want to talk about alcohol and wine at some point,
Okay. Go for it.
but it kind of goes into it. I know, most trainers, and I'm not going to argue the pros and cons of wine drinking or a little bourbon now and again, because there's
Right.
there's massive information out there on all that kind of good stuff. But for me, um, for 30 years, 35 years, I've enjoyed wine. It's been my hobby, wine, food, conversation, dinners out with friends. And so if you were to tell me, in order to get in good shape and lose weight, you can't drink any wine, I'd be like, well, fine, I'm not going to do it because that's not who I am.
Yes.
That isn't a trade-off for me. And I've gotten the best shape of my life having 2 glasses of wine a night. And we were open and honest with each other about this. And some may say, yeah, it's got other issues too. Like, oh, I get it. But for me, I am living the life I want to live and I'm in good shape and I can still allow myself to have a couple glasses of wine, which I feel is just part of who I am.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's important for entrepreneurs to realize that too, because you have an entrepreneur who's got a high stress job and they don't need to be beating themselves up over not having the perfect diet, the perfect program,
Okay.
missing a workout,
Yes.
going out with some boys on Friday night, having a couple beers. They want to do that. Figure a way with your coach to put that in the program, and of course, everything in moderation, right? But use that. Be honest with who you are, and otherwise, you're just going to fail because you're gonna restrict everything for a time, and it's going to work like gangbusters, and then you're going to get tired of the deprivation, if you want to call it that. So yeah.
Yeah, and full disclosure, you were like the example, like you were having a glass of wine or two every night, right? And you were like, you learn how to track it,
Yep.
how to fit it in,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you still made progress.
Absolutely, man. No, I could have made more. I could have made more if I didn't, but at what cost? And I'm
Exactly.
not I'm not a board model. I'm not. out there, using my body as a as part of a what do you call it? A sport. I'm
Right.
not out there, my goal isn't to be a public performing athlete. My goal is just to feel the best I can feel. And
Hmm.
with my lifestyle, and that's what I've achieved.
Who do you think the program is for, and who do you think the program is not for, in your personal opinion?
To be honest, I think it's for more people than your. I mean, you choose who you want to work with because you're very limited for your one-on-one. So I get it, but I think more people will benefit from working with you than just high performing entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
And because you have a gift and you really can help people. So whether or not they have their own businesses or traveling all the time, around flights all the time, that's one type of lifestyle. But it's for someone who has tried things in the past and failed, or maybe tried and got limited success, but
Hmm.
now they're ready to commit for an extended period of time, and it's a real commitment, which I think people need. I need it. It's a real commitment. I think if you're ready to commit and you're ready to see some results, and not just see the results, because everybody can get results, learn the tools that you need so that at the end of the program, whatever that looks like for you, you can now have a path forward that'll
Hmm.
carry you for the next 5, 10, 15 years, and view this as an opportunity to change your life.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Thank you for the feedback too. It's good to know that. Dennis, appreciate you taking the time and sharing your experience with us.
And thank you for everything you've done for me over the past several months. It's been really good. I've had my frustrations mainly with myself because I wish my own habits were easier to change.
That would
But
be
through it all, I've learned about myself. I've come out much better, and I think you're gonna be surprised. We're gonna keep in touch, and I'm gonna be sharing updates with you as time goes by. But yeah, you've done a really good job. Thank you so much.
absolutely. It's been a pleasure working with you. Where people can find you, Dennis, if they want to do deals with you, invest in real estate.
Yeah, so just go to YouTube, type in Dennis K, Denniskay, and then Belize, the country of Belize. It's my YouTube channel. I mainly use that. And then through there you can find me, you can find my email, you can find my Instagram and all that. But Dennis K Belize on YouTube. Um, yeah, anybody looking to buy property offshore and invest offshore, let me know. I'm your guy.
Yeah, he's got some really cool videos too, you guys. So you
Thanks,
gotta
man. I
go
appreciate
check him
it.
out. Yeah, very, very entertaining and very positive vibes. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dennis K.